It's been a while since I've shared an update on my planning and journaling systems, so today I'm going to flip through all the journals that I'm currently using. I want to thank Skillshare for sponsoring today's video, and as always there will be a link to a free trial in the description. I'll start off with my bullet journal system, which comprises 2 notebooks, one for collections and one for monthly planning. The first one you've seen in my 2021 bullet journal setup. In here I keep all the spreads that are relevant throughout the whole year, like the calendar, future log, and any other useful information. The daily, weekly, and monthly tasks page is a spread that I refer to often, especially when I'm planning, so that I don't forget to consider the repetitive things that I need to get done every single day, week, or month. Next, I just have my puppy's medical information, and lastly, I have a spread for video and blog post ideas. And that's actually pretty much it for this one. These are all the collections that I've been using so far, but I will of course add more when I need to. Next up, we have my bullet journal insert for monthly setups, which I actually started back in March. My monthly setups are very simple, and they start off with a calendar view of all the important events, and then I customize my setup depending on what I need that month. In March, for example, I did a 10,000 steps a day challenge to raise money for charity, and so I made a tracker for that, and I also did a daily routine page just to try to figure out where I could fit the time for walking and running every single day. After that, I just start my daily planning with a simple header followed by tasks. I prefer this kind of planning much more than the structured weekly layouts that you have to do in advance, because as you can see, there are some days where I have a lot of things to do, there are days where I don't have that much going on, and other days that I don't even need to use my bullet journal at all. Another reason is that sometimes my schedule is pretty flexible and I don't have any day-specific tasks. So what I do is I create a running list, which is kind of like a brain dump of all the stuff that I need to get done. And then throughout the week, I go through it and do whatever tasks I feel like doing that day. The signifiers that I use are very basic and very similar to the ones in the original bullet journal method. As you can probably tell, my style has changed a lot throughout the years. I don't do cover pages anymore, I don't decorate my bullet journal anymore, and I keep things very minimal, which has hugely improved my relationship with my bullet journal. I've talked a lot about the advantages of keeping things minimal for me, but to put it simply, it's taken away all of that pressure, and now finally my productivity isn't dependent on creativity anymore. So I'm halfway through this insert, which means I'll probably be able to fit 6 months in total, so I'll only need to use 2 of these notebooks a year. This next journal is for memory keeping, and this is where I do get a bit more creative. To start off, I did a calendar for each month, and every day I write at least one thing that happened. You can see I got more into it as time passed, and I started writing a little bit more every day. I feel like this past year the days blended into each other and I felt like time was flying past me, but having these spreads to look back on really makes me appreciate the little things, and I'm really happy that this was actually the first year I managed to keep up with this habit. At first I wanted to create little doodles for every day, but I quickly realized that wouldn't have been sustainable. The second half of this journal is also filled with memories, but this time in form of pictures that I print out with my HP sprocket. I've had this little printer for many years now. I love that I can quickly connect it to my phone, print the pictures, peel off the backing, and paste them into my journal. I know we probably take hundreds of pictures every single month, but there's something so special about having physical copies of your photos. And the more time that goes by, the more you're going to appreciate looking back on these memories, even though some of them might seem pretty mundane while they're happening. I don't make these spreads in advance just because I want the flexibility in case I want to switch things up, but at the end here I have a small envelope where I keep the photos that I have yet to journal about. So far I've talked about my bullet journaling and memory keeping systems, both of which have a pretty specific and clear structure that I follow under my own rules. However, when it comes to journaling about my feelings, I couldn't even count how many failed attempts I've had, and that's because I find it incredibly hard to journal without a structure, as counterintuitive as that may seem. There's something very daunting about a blank page when your thoughts are going 1,000 miles an hour, but your pen just doesn't seem to want to move. I don't really know how to journal about my feelings or process my thoughts through journaling, even though I've always wanted to. I always feel kind of self-conscious and I cringe at myself when I try to do it, but I have found a way to push past it. So the pivotal point for me was when I stumbled across Emily Gould's Skillshare class on a 10-day journaling challenge. Even though it's actually intended towards creative writing, it challenges you to journal every day, starting with the words, "Today I noticed." It's a very small thing that has made a huge difference because I found it so much easier to write as if I'm an observer of my feelings, surroundings, or events, rather than to just journal without any structure. In the class, Emily also gives inspiring examples and observation prompts, and as part of the creative writing challenge, she also suggests to try writing in the third person, which is a very interesting exercise when you apply it to journaling. It kind of detaches your mind from your thoughts, which in turn makes it easier to observe them. I was also hugely inspired by all of the other members' submissions to this challenge. It's one of the many reasons I love Skillshare because it really feels like a community of curious, talented, and very supportive people. Skillshare has a ton of classes on journaling and thousands more on a variety of creative subjects like art, photography, music, and much more. I've been learning from Skillshare classes for many years now, and I love that they're always launching new premium classes to keep you engaged and focused. You can get an annual subscription for less than $10 a month, but the first 1,000 of you to click the link in the description will get a free trial of premium membership. So there are lots of journaling tips I've learned from Skillshare and from my own experience along the way, which I'm sure could be a whole video in itself, but for now I hope you've enjoyed this look into all the journals that I'm currently using. I can definitely say I've never been more at peace with my planning and journaling because for the first time they're not creating more clutter in my mind, and it's a system that is very easy for me to sustain. I'm very curious to know how you feel about your own journals and what you've learned along the way, and I also extend the challenge to you to tell me something you've noticed today. Thank you so much for being here, and I hope to see you in the next video. Bye guys!